us online and in person today, members, friends, and those who may be newcomers to our community. If you are new to Bucksmont and visiting us in person, please stop by our visitor center in the front hallway near where you came in. It was covered with a plastic sheet, but there are places where you can make a name tag for yourself and find out more information about Unitarian Universalism, Bucksmont, and upcoming events. If you'd like a hymnal or a printed order of service, those are available near the entrance to the sanctuary. If you are visiting us online or prefer digital methods, please email our office administrator, Beverly, to sign up for our email newsletter and to get connected to our congregation. Each week in our service, we offer time for people to share a joy or sorrow from their lives by texting a phone number. That number will be shared in the chat box for those online and on screen for everyone now and later in the service. If you would like to see the order of service, details about upcoming services, and other ways to gather with our community, you can find that on the homepage of our website, bucksmontuu.org. There's a lot happening at Bucksmont, and we'd like to highlight these announcements in particular. For religious education this week, it runs from 10:30 to 11:45. Childcare is available for families with little ones 5 and under. They are invited to drop off or stay and play in the nursery as needed. All children are welcome to use the play spaces in the sanctuary or in the social hall. Our next summer community night at Bucksmont will be a tabletop games night tonight, starting at 6:30 p.m. Bring a favorite game or play the ones already here. On August 27th, we will have our final movie night. Come for the popcorn and stay for the community. More details will be in the eVoice or the homepage on the Bucksmont website. Join us on Tuesday, August 22nd, that's this Tuesday, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the sanctuary for a presentation on human trafficking. I'm sorry, it's not this Tuesday, it's the next Tuesday. See, I thought I was helping people like me who are memory impaired, but not this Tuesday, the following Tuesday. It's okay to forget. Yeah, okay, thank you. Anyway, we're gonna have a presentation from folks at NOVA, which is the Network for Victim Assistance. And they're gonna talk about a serious subject, human trafficking. So please come out and support this wonderful group. The event is free and will offer an overview presentation of human trafficking, key indicators of trafficking, and how exploitation exists here in our country and in Bucks County. To register and for more details, please see the eVoice. Whether you are a guest, friend, or member, we are glad you are part of our worship service today. As we gather in our sanctuary, in our homes, or watch from mobile screens, almost anywhere, we are all together. Those watching now on Sunday and those who may be watching months from now. We are joined together for worship across space and time. This is a free, creedless religious congregation in the discipline of truth and the spirit of universal kinship. We join together in a cooperative quest for religious and ethical values, seeking to apply these values to the development of character, enrichment of the spirit, and service to all. You are welcome here, whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever the color of your skin or your country of origin. No matter your gender expression or gender identity, whatever your age, however you define family, wherever you are at this time, and whatever the source of your faith, you are welcome here. This morning, as we do each time we gather, we kindle our Unitarian Universalist chalice. We do so today with words from Bruce Southworth. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. Please light your chalice at home. Our common chalice is now lit.
Good morning. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, Where is Our Holy Church? Words are up on the screen, or it's number 113 in the gray hymnal if you use that. Where is our holy church, where race and class unite, as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right? Where is our holy writ, where'er a human heart a sacred torch of truth has lit, by inspiration taught? Where is our Holy One? A mighty host respond. The people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy land? Within the human soul, wherever free minds truly seek with character the goal. Where is our paradise? In aspiration's sight, wherein we hope to see arise 10,000 years of right.
Let's invite Nick and the children up for the children's story.
Come on up, and children and parents of all ages. Today's book is called I Promise by LeBron James. I promise to work hard and do what's right, to be a leader in this game of life. I promise to be open and try new things and enjoy the happy that changes can bring. I promised to ask for help whenever I need it, to reach for my star, and even when I can't see it. I promise to ask questions and find answers, to believe in next time and second chances. I promise to use my voice and stand up for what's right. And when things get tough, to keep up the fight. I promise to respect my elders and peers the same, to leave new places better than I came. I promise to cross bridges and break down walls, to rise with the sun and learn from the falls. I promise to be courageous, to be free, and to strive for greatness. I promise to be me. I promise to go to school, to do all of my homework, to listen to my teachers because they'll help me learn, to ask questions and find answers, to never give up, no matter what, to always try my best, to be helpful and respectful to others, to live a healthy life by eating right and being active, to make good choices for myself, to have fun, and above all else, to finish school.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go enjoy, go enjoy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love. As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go enjoy, go enjoy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
I'm glad they gave me an extra minute or two to get up here. I was one of your delegates to the 2023 General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. I use he, him for pronouns, and I guess I should tell you who I am. I'm Jerry Johnson. You probably already know that from last week, but sorry about that. Although the most important agenda items were about Article 2 this year, for me, the highlight was the Ware lecture given by Dr. Imani Perry. I can't summarize that talk, but I can give you my reactions. Imani Perry was the author of South Through America. I don't know if any of you have read that, but I read it, and it's really an inspiring book. What she talked about was that she attended high school at Concord, Massachusetts for 2.5 years. And while she was there, she visited Walden Pond. And she said she looked at it and she wondered what all the fuss was about. But her father told her, you have to look with patience and attention. And she said the longer she looked, she saw as the light changed, all of a sudden, the beauty of the pond came out. We need to do that so often. She quoted from a chapter of the book entitled, "Former Inhabitants and Winter Visitors." She told a story about Zephyr White, a colored woman who had a little shack, little house, where she spun flax for the town people. At length, during the the 1812 war, her dwelling was set afire, and her cat and her dog and all of her chickens were burned up. She led a hard life and somewhat inhuman. One old frequenter of the woods remembered that as he passed her house one noon, he heard her muttering to herself over her gurgling pot, "Ye all are bones, bones. I have seen the bricks amid the oak trees there." Perry's point was that these black squatters in the woods were part of the Concord community. A community does not exist, does not end at the edge of the woods, but it includes the people in the woods. We sometimes think that our community are those that we see today, but we are in the midst of a larger community. And one of her points about right relationships was that we have a covenant of right relationships that we might think only applies to us, but it applies to the whole community, the community that we are in the midst of, whether it's in our homes, our towns, our county. Think of that. Next time you read the covenant of right relationships, realize that that's the way we're supposed to treat everybody, not just those that we like or those that we know. One of the things that stood out to me was she said that belonging is always stratified. Think of that. We all belong, but some of us belong more than others. Look around. Is that the way you think? Trustees are more important. They belong more than we do. Each and every one of us has a place, and we have to be careful about that. As we were talking about what to talk about this morning, David said that he would really like me to say that the Adult Education Committee is going to start having Article 2 discussions. The reason for those discussions is that when we go to vote, the three of us go to vote, a lot of times we will hear people say, "I'm voting the way my congregation wants me to vote." Well, we had to vote the way we thought was right. It would be nice if we could go and say, "Hey, Bucksmont has thought about this, and they want me to say this, they want me to vote this way." Then we can really be representative of what you want. These meetings are not going to start until January. Those of you that were with us last January at our UU Deepening Seminar, this year we're going to use the Article 2 as our focus for those seminar. And over the spring, we will have some other meetings and other discussions. And so please, read it, look at it, understand what Article 2 is about, and let us know how we should vote. Thank you.
I would like to invite Kate Nazimi and Catherine Semish to introduce their organization called Advocates for Inclusive Education, which will be part of our split plate today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Semish. People know me as Kitty, and together they know the two of us as Kit and Cat. So it's easy to remember. Advocates for Inclusive Education is the group that we founded just about a year ago in response to what's going on in Central Bucks School District. What we want to do, our vision is that our local schools, it was really interesting reading your 7 principles, that they create a sense of belonging and welcome for all of the children in our community, of whatever gender, of whatever religion or no religion, of whatever color, background, ethnicity, belief system, politics, whatever. All the kids are welcome in the schools. All the kids should have a library book that speaks to them. All of the kids should have a teacher that they feel is on their side and looks out for them. And one of the ways that you can really see this operating almost uniquely in our society is at graduation, where the parents who disagree on basically everything there is to disagree about, the parents will represent different views. And they're all a little tired of their stroppy teenagers, but also very, very proud. And we come together and celebrate the kids' achievement, and that is what our schools are about. They are profoundly democratic institutions, one of the tattered remnants of a number of democratic institutions where everybody in the community gets what they need, and we provide for the children and our hope for the future. And that is what we are trying to work to strengthen and save.
Hi, thank you. So while we're striving for high-quality, inclusive education, at issues are policies in the Central Bucks School District that pave the way to remove good books from our school libraries, that chill discussion in the classroom, that deny all students the right to equal participation in sports, that accuse teachers of vague wrongdoing, and that leave our most vulnerable students unprotected. The policies also allow for some parents to insert themselves into the educational decisions of other families. We, as an organization, are asking you to help us on our mission to speak out against this program of baseless accusation, this program of fomenting fear and dividing our community, and passing extreme measures to advance a national anti-inclusive agenda. Kitty and I will be out back after the service, and we'd love for you to come back there and meet with us. We have a sign-up sheet for those of you who'd like to receive our weekly email. That is the best way to stay informed on the issues and to see how you may help us. This fall in particular, we will be doing lots of community activities. I think my mic is good. Okay. Can you still hear me? So really, thank you so much for your split plate offering. We will put your money to good work. And we'd also just like to say that while we really enjoy the money and we'll use it, we very much need people power. We need you to be involved and to help us spread the word and to share what's happening in our schools with your neighbors and your friends and to ask them to be involved. And one of the best ways you can do that is to subscribe to our email newsletter. Thank you.
The offering in liberal religion is a vital part of our history of faith. As a covenanted community, people who freely choose to be here, our voluntary giving is symbolic of that freedom of choice. Each week at Bucksmont, we share our offering with a different cause, and as you know, for the month of August, we are sharing with Advocates for Inclusive Education. We ask that you participate in our morning offering in one of these ways. You can write out a check to Bucksmont and mail it into the fellowship. You may donate online now or at the end of our worship service, or you may place your donation into one of the baskets as they are passed. We will now receive the morning offering. Our community continues to grow and thrive due to generous donations of both time and money. For the many ways that you contribute and how it sustains this fellowship, we are truly grateful.
Good morning. I'm David Marshall. I was a delegate to this year's General Assembly. I'm going to have a couple readings from the General Assembly. First, if recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. The second reading is from Reverend Michael Slack. It was part of the opening prayer on June 24th. I believe the real question is, how do we get clear enough about what our Unitarian Universalism collectively and individually requires of us, such that we covenant with deeper integrity? What can Unitarian Universalism, that centers in love, justice, and liberation, tell us about the risks worth taking to become the life-giving, life-saving experience of community care and accountability that we know it can be? Thank you.
I am a Unitarian. I've got my badge right here. I am a Universalist every day, every week of the year. I'll do what's right, I'll face the foe, and by my actions, everyone will know that I am a Unitarian. I've got my badge right here. I am a Universalist every day, every week of the year. I will try to do what's right. I'll try to face the night like a light shining brightly through the darkness, as they'll know everywhere I go that I stand for truth and justice, compassion and liberty. You can sing it with me. I am a Unitarian. I've got my badge right here. I am a Universalist every day, every week, every day, every week of the year. Woo!
Good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Egbertson. I use she, her pronouns, and I was a delegate from Bucksmont to this year's GA. In January of this year, the Article 2 Study Commission released its revised draft to the UUA bylaws of the 7 principles and sources. Karen and David asked if I would serve as a delegate from Bucksmont at GA where the vote of approval or disapproval would take place. I agreed and started to study the proposal. I have always thought of these words as a guide to how individuals approach our faith, and for that reason, I was rather attached to the original language and the admirable brevity and directness of the prose. It took me a while to figure out, however, that that is not their first purpose. Their first purpose is to guide how congregations act within our faith, to try to clarify the role of the UUA organization versus that of the congregations, and to present our highest values to the outside world. The Article 2 Study Commission felt strongly that the language should reflect not only generally good intentions, but more clearly outline expectations for actions and relationships. This is a policy update framed in language that is attempting to be more spiritual and religious and hopefully more inspirational in nature. Bringing thousands of people, let alone thousands of UUs with their passion for pursuing individual paths together to agree on anything is an overwhelming task. I think the UUA organization did the best it could to try to foster discussion. They collected over 400 different proposed amendments to the study commission text, and online discussions were grouped under these amendments. There were at least 10 that generated many, many responses in the thread. Some UUs are very passionate about words. In some cases, the person who created the amendment responded to every comment in depth. They must have devoted hundreds of hours over the 2 months up to and including GA week. They did their best to wordsmith and hone their ideas while living up to the ideals of both the old and the new principles. We should be grateful for their efforts. I participated in the online Can you hear me okay? I participated in the online feedback discussion threads and did my best to give constructive suggestions. My biggest concern was the use of academic words like plurality and mutuality. While these words have precise definitions, they are not widely used, and people should not have to go to the dictionary to figure out what UU stand for. We were supposed to be creating something that's more accessible, not less accessible. I gave this feedback over and over. I participated in the 3 Zoom discussion sessions that took place in May. I sent out an email blast reminders to Bucksmonters that they could also participate in those sessions. I tried to cover the ones I felt most strongly about. I strongly supported the inclusion of the phrase scientific understandings in an amendment of the UU sources. Reference to science had been completely removed from the Commission's proposal, and there were a good number of people who wanted it included specifically. It was helpful being able to talk in a Zoom session one-on-one with Matthew Johnson, who was drafting the amendment, which was number 5. I think I impressed him with my enthusiasm for the value of science as a tool to make sense of and appreciate our world. Amendment number 5 was approved at GA. After all that participating in the feedback sessions, I realized at the end that I hadn't voiced something I've been thinking about over the years, which that gratitude as a value and a practice could and maybe should be included more prominently in our values and principles. We're being asked to do a lot of hard work, And we need some values that will provide food for our spirits, and that's why the value of love was included. So in the few hours before the final deadline for submitting amendments, I submitted one of my own, number 413, include gratitude as a value. I didn't expect anything else to happen, but I figured for the record I would put it in, and if I didn't, I would regret not having done it. I got one positive response. So imagine my surprise when I found that my proposed amendment was included in the 15 amendments selected for discussion at the general session at GA. I knew all the attention was going to the other amendments, so I decided to spend my allotted 90-second presentation on what the idea was rather than specifics on how to include it in the articles. Here, in part, is what I said. The proposed Article 2 revisions are clear about all the hard work we need to do. I would like to suggest that the practice of gratitude can provide food for our spirits, and that including gratitude up front as a value in Article 2 can help energize our actions in service and social justice with joy. The practice of gratitude can be especially valuable when things are going wrong or when we face great challenges. Recognizing the value in intangibles, especially in gifts of loving relationships and community, can give us strength to face our troubles and work through them. As we exercise our ability to feel gratitude, we can gain perspective on our existence and the experiences of others. A focus on gratitude can help capture the transcendent experience that people crave in a religion. It can add depth and emotion to both our individual practice and our communal experience of religion as you use. There were no public responses to my amendment, except from that of one of the commissioners who replied that they weren't against gratitude. They just hadn't known exactly where to put it in their proposal, so they had included it very, very briefly as part of the value of generosity. In the end, my amendment didn't pass, but I think it was seen as already being covered and included, at least in some form, rather than folks disagreeing with the idea. My biggest criticism of the process was that I think the commissioners dominated the feedback on some of the amendments a little too much. I think they biased the interpretation of the amendments and influenced how people voted too greatly. However, I recognize that their responses were coming from a very strongly felt place. And if we truly want to widen the circle, it's necessary that we try to understand why they felt so strongly, and to entertain the possibility that they have a very good reason for feeling the way that they do. I also recognize that getting varied feedback in 5 minutes from over 2,000 UUs is simply an impossible task. I am glad I had a chance to participate in the process. I had no idea how much time it was going to take going in, and I couldn't keep everyone in the congregation up to date with what was happening. There just simply were not enough hours in my day. But it was a valuable experience. My voice was just about as far on the margin's edge as one could get. And they brought me into the circle of the discussion, for which I am grateful. Thank you.
I'm David Marshall. I'm participated as a delegate. I'm also Denominational Connections trustee. The June 2023 General Assembly asked, "Where are we as Unitarian Universalists going?" I read the words from Reverend Slack challenging us to get clear enough about what our Unitarian Universalism collectively and individually requires. I acknowledge being a privileged white male, a lifetime Unitarian. As a fourth grader in the religious education program at the Schenectady Unitarian Church, I had a male African-American teacher. We studied the religions of ancient Egypt and had a wonderful time. That unique experience helped shape my worldview. When I was in 6th grade, the Unitarian Universalist merger occurred, and we adopted what is now Article 2 and the principles that go with Article 2, including the first principle, which I'm going to deal with today, the inherent worth and dignity. As a young adult, I was proud to belong to a faith that actively supported the inherent worth and dignity of every person in very real terms. We work, Unitarian Universalists work for civil rights. At the 2000 General Assembly, Reverend Gibson delivered the following comments. The South, ruled by a white power structure and pervaded by an ideology widely shared by its white residents, was facing a crisis in ideas and in social patterns at just the time that Unitarian Universalists began to become visible and contrary in presence. The white South felt besieged and was in a mood to strike back at those perceived as agents of change, outside agitators, traitors, persons operating on the principles that were inherent to Unitarian Universalism were almost inevitably challenges to Southern mores and social patterns. That's a history of the civil rights movement and the involvement of Unitarian Universalists on behalf of inherent worth and dignity of all persons. The Article 2 Study Commission was charged by the UUA Board to review Article 2 and propose revisions that would enable the UUA, the member congregations, and the covenanted communities to be a relevant and powerful force for spiritual and moral growth, healing, and justice. The proposed changes should articulate core UU theological values. One core theological value is love. The commission was charged to decenter habitual practices that reinforce white supremacy culture. The commission was instructed to include the considerations and deliberations from the General Assembly of 2017 for inclusion of the eighth principle. Can we put the slide up about who the next slide in sequence? The stakeholders are different than they were in 1960. 1960, the stakeholders were the Unitarian and Universalist congregations. The slide behind me lists the stakeholders that are considered relevant in today's Unitarian Universalist Association. And there are two slides because there are a lot of stakeholders. Go to the second slide if we could. Now, Melissa talked about people having an affinity for words and liking wordsmithing. There was a motivated group of religious leaders that felt we should respect the first principle. To me, our first principle has a rich history that we should honor. These words showcase a religion that is strong and proactive. They, for me and many others, are a call to action. As Ostara Holyoke noted, I would much rather be part of a religion that actively promotes the inherent worth and dignity of every person than one that passively accepts that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. There are many examples how the inherent worth and dignity features prominently in civil rights and social change. In 1969, Shirley Chisholm, in the presentation at Howard University, asserted we need a liberated and developing black community in America that once it has fully discovered its inherent worth and power, turns to the even greater task of protecting and enlarging upon its triumphs. Of Colin Kaepernick, his book, I Colored Myself Different, sort of like the LeBron James book we were looking at today. What young Colin does with his brown crayon changes his whole world and worldview, providing a valuable lesson on embracing and celebrating his black identity through the power of radical self-love and knowing his inherent worth. We could have the slide on equity. So the Article 2 Study Commission proposed the language that appears behind me regarding the principle of equity. This proposal, as it appears here, is what was drafted and accepted. However, many religious leaders, many people felt strongly that we could do better. We could have a better proposal on equity than the one that appears behind me. If you go on to the next slide. We worked with a group, it was a fairly large group, that felt strongly about A, keeping the first principle, and B, the second sentence, with which I had a certain amount of involvement. If we can go to the next slide. The final form of our amendment was, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each person. We covenant to defend, build, and sustain accessible and inclusive communities. We work to create a just and peaceful world in which all can flourish. At GA, our language came up as amendment. It was the first prioritized amendment It was debated, and it was rejected. It was rejected because our use of the word worth. Worth is a loaded word in today's Unitarian Universalist Association. We are now dealing with a change to worthiness. We're dealing with a past in which monetary worth was assigned to human beings. Worthiness is more explicit, that we are talking about the quality of being worthy. The definition, quality of being good enough. We're all good enough as we are. Worth can be monetized. People were and still are being monetized. The definition of worth is not the original intention for people who have a history of their people being monetized. Worthiness can never be monetized. We are all worthy of love, respect, dignity, kindness, and care. I wish I had the chance to have spoken in support of the second sentence, because I believe it clearly goes to what we as Unitarians are. We want to defend, build, and sustain accessible communities. What happens next? The 2024 General Assembly will be a virtual gathering. If the proposal by the Article 2 Commission is approved with support from 2/3 of the delegates, the new Article 2 will take effect. Article 2 will change the bylaws of the UUA and will define our relationship. The delegates are chosen every year. We have the chance to select 3 or 4 delegates. We have the ability as a certified congregation to propose amendments. There are congregations which are talking about reviving what I put up on the board earlier. So as Jerry said, we're going to take up the topic at adult religious education, and as a congregation decide how we feel about the new Article 2 proposal. Thank you.
I just had a quick question from someone, David, and that I think you could answer, which is, will these things, these slides, this information that you have on the slides, will that be made available to the congregation ahead of when the adult education series of classes begins, or even now?
Yes. In addition, the General Assembly is online. It's accessible to the delegates. If anybody has an interest in seeing the discussion of Article 2 at the General Assembly, please let me know. I can make it available to you.
Thank you.
Come on, really? You're that much shorter than me? Oh, sorry. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our next hymn, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Words on the screen, or hymn number 34 in the gray hymnal if you choose to use that. Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be given thy love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love worship and are freed.
Thanks. A prayer by Victoria Weinstein. The church is a body. May this body breathe and be together in the spirit of hope. May it feel held by comfort. Those who seek consolation, may they find it in the solace of this moment. The church is a body. It is as strong as all the people who have ever gathered within its walls. It is the power of all they dreamed and all they have done. The church is a body. It is vulnerable as the most newborn and untried of its members. It is ancient. It is ever new. The church is a story. It is a story of lives that are interwoven, brought together in this place and at this time for the simple purpose of caring for one another and helping one another along the arduous path from birth to death. The church is a vision. It is a vision of unity amid diversity. It is a vision of reverence for all of creation. It is a vision that beckons us beyond the concerns of our own skins. In the silence, may we abide as one body in the spirit of faith, hope, and love that is the story and vision of this church. Amen.
Did someone pick up my papers by chance? As part of our caring outreach to one another, we set aside a few moments to note both joys and sorrows in our lives. In these moments of peace and reflection, we turn our attention to one another. We hold each and all in our compassionate thoughts and the prayers of our hearts. This morning, we are dropping stones in water. The bowl includes some of the water we gathered as a community back in September, so it contains the love of all our congregation surrounding each joy or sorrow. As we add the stones to the bowl of water, our experiences are given weight and depth. We add a piece of our own stories to the collective waters of this community, a place that also holds the memories of those who have gone before and anticipates those who have yet to arrive. To share the joy or sorrow you would like held by our caring community, please text the number on the screen. Please include your name along with your sharing. It's the same number no matter how you join us today, and you can add it to your contacts for future weeks. I will read them aloud, and Melissa will drop a stone on your behalf. What is shared today will go out in our weekly caring notes for those who cannot be with us this morning. Please remember to include your name, as I said, with what you share. And now we will add a final stone for all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken and deep within our hearts. With stones gathered and remembrances shared, we honor our joys and sorrows, those shared this morning and the many more that exist beyond words. Through our time together, our relationships are deepened and our community made whole.
Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing Gather the Spirit. Words on the screen or in the gray hymnal, number 347. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
Our chalice extinguishing words this morning are from our hymnal, number 473. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Here is our benediction. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Go in peace.